US political commentator Stephanie Hamill. Stephanie, good to see you again. I need you to clear something up for me from this distance. And, you know, you and I consume all of this stuff a lot more than average folk do. But do you give Kamala Harris more of a chance of defeating Donald Trump than you would have Joe Biden?
Well, it just depends, right? Seems to be a lot of excitement over Harris right now, especially compared to Joe Biden. As we saw, he was floundering and failed after the debate. And I spoke with you on that night after the debate, and I had told you it was a make or break moment for Biden, and it certainly was a break. As we saw, Biden's cognitive decline had been very obvious for many of us for these past few years, even before 2020. And it was impossible for them to hide that from the American people on that debate night. The mainstream media had been covering for Joe Biden for some time, saying that anything that the Republicans or critics of Joe Biden had to say about him, even videos of him falling up and down Air Force One steps, were all cheap fakes. We weren't allowed to point that out. And as the American people saw real time live, that Joe Biden just isn't with it anymore. And so Kamala Harris obviously can put together sentences. She is a strong speaker. Some are critical of her so-called cackle and some of the jokes and some of the things that she says when she's speaking. But overall, she is a much more effective candidate than Joe Biden, and that's obvious. But she has a lot of problems. Remember, this is the same woman who hardly made it through the Democratic primary. The Democrats rejected her. This is the party of DEI, and they ended up choosing an old white man, which is Joe Biden. Kamala Harris had very little support among Democrats, and I don't see how that changes. And while the media is really hyping her up right now, talking about that she's a woman of color and that she's a woman, and they're just ecstatic of the fact that that could be the next potential president, they're forgetting about how radical her policies are. I mean, she was born and raised in San Francisco. She is to the left of the left. And so when people start to do a deeper dive on her policies and realize that actually she will be much more harmful than Joe Biden, it would be like Joe Biden on steroids, they might want to reconsider.
And Stephanie, as you pointed out before, this all hangs on the swing states. So if you look at those swing states where this election is going to be won or lost, and then you look at the people who are voting in those swing states, do they want to elect a hard left president to run the United States? Much more left she is than what Joe Biden was, right?
That's right. I mean, like I said, she wants to ban fracking. She is the type of person who has suggested that we should all go to electric vehicles. And I don't have a problem with electric vehicles, and a lot of people don't. But unfortunately, they are very expensive right now and not practical. I mean, I drive a Tesla Cybertruck and I love it, but I also have other vehicles. But I would never force anyone to have to purchase an electric vehicle. So it's like they live in a bubble. They're completely out of touch with the average American who is just struggling to pay their bills just to get by. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a hard sell for her on voters in these swing states. And I think there's going to be a huge effort to erase her past on policies. And I think they're going to try to gaslight the American people on what exactly she supports. And, you know, and I think that the Trump campaign, they will do a good job of exposing that.
Let's just back up there. You drive one of those Tesla trucks that looks like a spaceship. Is that right?
That's right. Some people, some of my friends make fun of me and they say it looks like a dumpster truck or just a dumpster. So I get teased a lot. But yeah, I do. I never was like a huge electric vehicle person, but definitely was into the truck when it came out. So yeah, I love it. I love Elon, and it is good stuff.
Both sides are now rolled out some ads, and they're going to be pretty nasty, I think. The ad about Donald Trump, I mean, they're always going to attack him on his record. And the Republicans themselves have rolled out an ad about Kamala Harris as well. I just want to ask you about, everyone's leapt on the J.D. Vance comments made in an interview back on Fox in 2021 about cat ladies. Is that going to play in America, or people realise that this is before JD even came anywhere near being a vice presidential candidate?
Yeah, I saw the commentary. I mean, I don't take issue with it. And I think he has a point, right? That there's an effort to keep women single and childless so that they can keep them in the workforce, so that they don't take, so that the corporations can keep them in the workforce, so that they don't take time off for maternity leave and can focus on just being just workers. So, yeah, I mean, of course, the left's going to be angry about that. And maybe he was just joking, who knows? But they're going to throw everything at him. They already don't like him. They weren't going to like any of Donald Trump's VP picks. So they're just going to go through all of his media, social media, interviews, and everything to see what they can to get out there in headlines to try to take him down with the ticket. But ultimately, it's just not going to work. I mean, the VP pick in this case isn't really going to make a difference for Donald Trump. Ultimately, people are going to go out to vote for Donald Trump, not for Vance.
What's up with Barack Obama and ultimately Michelle Obama as well? Why have they not endorsed Harris?
It's a good question. And, there's two theories on this. Number one is that they actually don't have a good relationship with Harris, that she was not one of their first picks. The other theory is that they want to actually make this look like a democratic process, in which it is not. And that would be that not one Democratic voter voted for Harris. And so, there are a lot of people on the left who take issue with how this all went down. Originally, as you know, the mainstream media tried to trick everyone into thinking that Joe Biden's mental abilities and physical well-being were perfectly fine and that there was nothing to see there. All of a sudden, they turn on him, push him to drop out of the race, essentially, and all the Democratic operatives behind the scene, which a lot of people believe that it was Obama and the Clintons and Pelosi who had a say in this. So, yeah, it really is just interesting times for sure.
Just finally, I mean, a week in politics is extraordinary, isn't it, when you think about it? This time last week, we just finished the Republican convention. Donald Trump had survived an assassination attempt. The crowd was erupting in support for him. And now we've got a new presidential candidate in Harris. And we've still got the FBI going, well, we're not quite sure what hit Donald Trump in the ear. I mean, what the hell is that about?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely shameful what has happened here. I mean, if they don't know, why would they put that theory out there? Donald Trump's doctor said that he was hit by a bullet. So it's not like they did a medical examination on Trump. And so this almost seems like it's a politically motivated comment. And instead of focusing on what they think they know about what hit Donald Trump's ear, maybe they should just focus on the investigation as a whole and come up with some answers for the American people. At this point in time, the big question is, are the candidates safe? Are all the protocols when it comes to security being met? What went wrong? How do we prevent this from happening again? And it just seems like nobody's really being held accountable. Of course, the head of the Secret Service resigned, but she resigned. She wasn't fired. Nobody's been fired. So again, it seems like there is a huge lack of accountability here, and so many people are concerned. And I would imagine if you were a candidate, Donald Trump or Harris, that you would be concerned as well.
Stephanie, always great to catch up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.